All right, this is question number 9, more or less. Looking at this problem, the domain, that means how far left to how far right do I go, and which points are used. Now, I've written a whole bunch of points, but realize this point is used, and this point is used, and those all correspond to an x value. So everywhere that I pick on this x-axis corresponds to an x value on the graph somewhere, all the way out to negative 10 to positive 10. So my domain is, and those circles are filled in, negative 10 to 10. My range value is what y values are used on this graph. And so if I were to draw a line from every one of these points or every part on this line to the y-axis, if I were to do this and draw a line from every point on this equation that's drawn, which y values would be used? Okay, so that's what that's asking. Which y values would be used? So I cleaned up the screen so we could see better. So the bottommost y value is negative 6, and the topmost y value, there's a 4 here and a 4 there, so that's the uppermost y value that is used. Now the x-intercepts, where does it cross the x-axis? Well, those numbers are negative 8, negative 4, and 2. Everywhere there's a y value of 0 is an x-intercept. Or you can look and be like, well, it's right there, that dot, and that dot. Y-intercept. There's only one place it crosses the y-axis, and that's at negative 1. F of 0, what this is saying is when x equals 0, what does y equal? Well, when x equals 0, y equals negative 1. That's just another fancy way of saying what's the y-intercept. Those are basically the same thing. Part E says when x is negative 2, what's the y value? Well, here's when x equals negative 2, and if I go down, I hit a dot, and that corresponds to a y value of negative 4. Part F says, for what value of x does f of x equal 4? So in other words, what value of x has a y value of 4? Well, there's two y values of 4, one here and one here. So what value of x gives me a y value of 4? Negative 6 or 10. This says, for what value of x is y less than 0? So we're saying, for what values of x is y less than 0? Well, these values right here are less than 0. These values are all less than 0. All the way through here, all these values are less than 0. So between negative 10 and negative 8, those are less than 0. So from negative 10 to negative 8, those are less than 0, along with the values that are between negative 4 and 2. Now the last thing it says, for what value of x does y equal 0? Well, those are the x-intercepts. All these x-intercepts have a y value of 0. So again, it's the same thing as our x-intercepts, negative 8, negative 4, and 2. So that's all that those are asking. So once you realize how to read those, it's basically just being able to read the question and find it on the graph. So that was number 9. Whoa, where'd 10 go? Apparently I didn't do number 10. Hold on. All right, so here's question number 10. So here's our graph. The domain goes from this left x to this right x. So that's negative 6 to positive 8. Those are both filled in. The range, the bottommost y value is negative 6. The topmost range value is 6. The x-intercept, it only has one. That's at negative 3, 0. The y-intercept is at 0, 2. F of 0, so when x is 0, what's the y value? That's 2. When x is 3, what's the y value? That's 4. What is the x value when y equals 4? That is anywhere from 3 to 6. Anywhere from 3 to 6, the y value is 4. It's constant slope. It's not increasing or decreasing. Anyways, When is y less than 0? So y less than 0, these y values are all down here less than 0. So the y values are less than 0 between -6 and -3. So -6 to -3. For what value of x does y equal 0? That's -3. All right, number 11. You're supposed to graph the equation, and I wanted you to change it to x to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 9. So if I graph that, so hopefully you changed that. I might have forgot to tell you. But I want you to graph this one. An easy way to graph that one, if you go to Desmos, so you go to Desmos, graphing, or use your other one. That's probably what you'll have to use on your test. So I go to Desmos, I type in the equation x to the 4th minus 10x squared plus 9. So these are my key values that I ought to look at. So I'm going to draw those on my graph. And actually, for the sake of this video, I'm going to cheat. All right, so there's my picture that I need. Now the domain, if I look at this, the domain is going to keep going, the x's are going to keep going left. See how that keeps going right forever? See how there's a little more gap in the line? Same if I go to the left, it's going to keep going further away from the line. Keep doing that. If I go out forever, it's going to eventually keep going and going, you know. It's going to keep going left for as far as I can count. Range, it does not go down below -16. But it does keep going up forever. It's increasing. So it's increasing all the way along here, and it's increasing all the way along here. So between which x values is it increasing? Remember, that's the important part, between which x values. So it's increasing between -2.236 and 0. It's also increasing between 2.236 and infinity. Decreasing is a different story. Decreasing is this area. So that area is all decreasing. So that's from negative infinity to -2.236. And between 0 and 2.236. So notice, if I were to come along here, from all the way out here to 2.236, right here on my line, that's decreasing. And then between here and here, it's increasing. And between here and here, it's decreasing. And from out here on out, forever, it's increasing. See how every point of this x-axis is being used? Each part of this x-axis is being assigned a place where that it's either increasing or decreasing. So from this x out to here, my graph is going down. From this x to this x, my graph is going up. Between this x and this x, my graph's going down. Between this x and these x's out here, my graph's going up. So that's what that's asking for. Now minimum, these two down here are my minimums. So those are my minimums. Negative 2.236 and negative 16. And 2.236 and negative 16. Maximum is this point up here, which is 0.9. Symmetry. I could fold this thing across the y-axis and it would land right on top of it, so that's y-axis symmetry, which also means it's even, right? Even, odd, or neither function, that's an even function. X-intercepts. Negative 3, 0, negative 1, 0, 1, 0, and 3, 0. The y-intercept is at 9. So there we go. Algebraically, you could find these x-intercepts if I put this equal to 0. I'd have x to the fourth minus 10x squared plus 9 equals 0. That factors to be x squared minus 9, x squared minus 1. Then you put each of those equal to 0. So then I would solve. I'd have x squared equals 9 and x squared equals 1. So x equals plus or minus 3, x equals plus or minus 1, which is what we have up in here. Okay, number 12 is the same thing, but a different equation. You are supposed to plot 0.159x cubed plus 0.198x squared minus 3.134x minus 1.794. So just to show you, we can do this on the calculator as well. Y equals 0.159x to the third plus 0.198. I just moved it too far. I'll start over. 0.159x to the third. Make sure I come down this time. Plus 0.198x squared minus 3.134x minus 1.794. So I go to my graph. I don't think that put the 1 on there.
Number 1, please come to the office. Number 4.
So anyways, that's, you can graph that on your calculator. I'll take a picture of it. Whoa. Okay, so I already made the picture and I labeled these points. So the domain is negative infinity to infinity because it keeps going left forever and ever. The range, it goes down forever and it goes up forever. So that's negative infinity to infinity. It's increasing from negative infinity to negative 3 because all of this value log here is increasing between x values. It's decreasing between negative 3 and 2.25. So again, we're just looking at these x coordinates. And then it's increasing again from 2.25 up to forever. So the minimum value is 2.25, negative 6. Realize these are relative minimums, not absolute, and relative maximum. So the relative maximum is negative 3.5. There is no symmetry because this does not go through the origin. Otherwise, it would be close to being odd, so none. And then the x-intercepts are negative 4.8, 0.5, and 4.2. The y-intercept is about right here, so that's 1.8.